Hey guys, Chris here from Elm Grove Outdoors. I'm bringing you another shotgun review today. The gun I've got with me today is a 1957 Remington Sportsman 58. It's in 16 gauge with full choke, fixed full choke. I had a couple questions off my last video about true 16 gauges. This one here I believe is based off of the 12 gauge platform. 870s, anything that came after the 1148 or the Sportsman 48, they were made off of the 16 gauge receiver, but over time they actually built the receivers up for 12 gauges. So now basically any of the newer guns, you're getting a 12 gauge receiver. This gun's in pretty good shape. It's got ADL deluxe stocks on it, so it's got the deluxe checkering. It's got a nice scroll design on the side. We've got ducks on one side, and then we've got dogs flushing grouse on the other. It's a nice old shotgun. It works well. The 58 was known for this little dial up here on the end of the magazine tube, and it's marked with an H or an L. H being high brass, L being low brass. 16 gauges, you can't get a lot of low brass shells, but the 12s and 20s you can. So if you were just going out skeet shooting with target load, you would want this on low brass, and what that does is it opens up the ports in the end of this cap and allows for more gas to be forced into the chamber, which ejects the shell and brings the next shell up into the receiver. With high brass like I have today, it would be on H. One thing just to watch with some of your ammunition is I shot Remingtons number 6s last week, 2 3/4, and they were 1 ounce, and I had it on high brass, and it shot perfectly. It ejected every shell. I've switched to the Federals. They're a 1 ounce number 6. This is basically the same thing, but for some reason they don't like to eject when you're on high brass, and I'll demonstrate that here in a few minutes. I'll shoot a few rounds off for you, and we'll take a look at how it works. One thing I can mention about this gun that I'm not a huge fan of, maybe some guys are, the 58 and the 1100 have the bolt carrier release on the bottom here. Most shotguns nowadays have the release up here on the side. I prefer the one on the side. Not that it's difficult to load or push this button, but sometimes it is tricky when you go to feed one up in there. You got to make sure you hit that first so that your plate actually slides out of the way and allows you to load a shell. So I'll load 2 more in here, and I'll take a couple shots for you. And I'm guessing that this first one will jam because I have it set on high brass, and that's just for informational purposes. So I'm going to fire a few shots for you here. And as expected, you can see it's jammed in there. So I'll pull this one out, lock it, let the other one slide in, and then what I'll do is I'll switch this over to low brass, and it should fire the next 2 shells perfectly. As you can see, it fired those next ones perfectly. Being on high brass, the recoil is a little less than on low brass, just because it's allowing more gas to escape, so that much inertia is not coming back and into your shoulder. Still not a very high recoil on these things. For a 16 gauge, it's true what they say, they carry like a 20 but they shoot like a 12. So don't be afraid of these old shotguns. If you see them at your mom and pop gun shops, pick one up. They're usually fairly cheap. I picked this one up for around $300, and it's a nice old gun for what it is, and you shouldn't have any issues with them. They're easy to disassemble, they're easy to reassemble, and they're a good gun for ducks and grouse, rabbits, anything of that sort. So it's a nice little gun. If you ever get a chance to get your hands on one, I would suggest picking it up. They're a good gun to have. Thanks for watching. Tune in and have a great day.